There's some doors that you try to knock down, and sometimes the answer is no immediately. Sometimes the answer is no the second, third, fourth time. But I think if you keep trying and trying your best and your hardest, opportunities will knock.
Welcome to episode 309 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. It is award season for baseball in our province with a pair of big-ticket events held this past weekend, hence why you'll be getting two special editions of the show this week. Little League Alberta and Baseball Alberta both hosting their annual awards banquet Saturday night. Great crowds on hand for both, despite the best efforts of Old Man Winter to grind everything to a halt. We'll have more of a rundown on the Baseball Alberta event a little bit later on this week. Now, I was in Calgary for the Little League event, serving as a guest speaker on traditional and social media for a session on Saturday afternoon before emceeing the banquet. As always, it's a great way to celebrate the contributions of the many coaches, officials, volunteers, and more who make the game go round. We also had a special guest who we'll be hearing from in just a few minutes. But first, I had a nice chat and catch up with Kvame, who wears many hats in baseball around Alberta, including Western Canadian Baseball League president and president of Little League Alberta. I wanted to get a bit of a State of the Union and touch on a few of the themes I was picking up on as I listened in to a few of the sessions.
Kevin, really appreciate the time as always. First off, when I was up on stage, I said there's something special happening in this province, whether it's the WCBL in one of the hats that you wear, Little League. What are you seeing as grassroots?
I see, whether it's our organization or one of the other youth organizations in the province, continual growth, continual excitement about the game of baseball, both for the young men and the young women that are aspiring to play that, and in Little League we also have a softball program, so it's exciting to hear about the opportunities that exist in that as well.
It's amazing to me on a night like tonight where you get to celebrate a lot of the successes. When you look back on 2024, how are you going to remember the Little League season as a whole?
I think that's a very good question. It just seems the Little League season seems to fly by. And you're always in reactive mode to it because there's so many moving pieces, so many moving teams, so much inexperience that people are just, learning the ropes of the program. They're trying to juggle their busy lives and fit in Little League baseball or Little League softball, and it can be a stressful thing, moving kids around in youth sports and stuff. So we get all that, and we want it to be a positive experience for the kids. So we just try to put as many, bumper rails up for them to guide them and try to make sure that the kids have a good experience, because the ultimate success of the program is, growing the number of kids playing, but making sure you're retaining the kids that are playing in any given year, and we want them all back the following year, and that to me dictates success.
Mm-hmm. You had Katie Reyes up here talking about the girls' game. I've noticed there's a few different sessions aimed towards that. What is the Little League Alberta message to those young girls or young ladies who are thinking about maybe taking that dive into the baseball world?
Yeah, I think that Little League wants to be an open, diverse organization. We get the challenges, we get the stereotypes that exist out there, and I think that the message is the doors are open for the females that would like to try baseball or softball in Little League and come and have some fun and see what we can do with you. We're paying attention to you. We want you to be part of our program, and we'd be excited to have you.
How fun is it from your perspective to watch the growth of the game the way it is? Like, I was reading a report out of the U.S. about how things have slowed down there. Up here, it feels like it's gaining momentum. How fun is it to be able to be a part of that and to try to steer the ship in that direction of let's keep this growth happening. Let's get the more eyes and ears on the game that maybe weren't there 10 or 15, 20 years ago.
Well, it takes a cast of volunteers, from one end of the province to the other, and good leadership with our board of directors to make everything come together. So I'm just one person on a team that is exceptional and really believes in offering the best program for the kids, and they do their best daily to put on that program. And from the board of directors to the board of directors of every league in the province, to the coaching coordinators, to the concession workers, to the umpires, to the grounds crews, to everything. It takes a army to put on a Little League program across this province, and I'm humbled by the lots of them that are passionate about the sport, and only by those masses can we service the number of kids we have and not be at capacity yet, which means that more volunteers, more kids, we can still handle that. So let's keep growing.
What's the biggest challenge or hurdle that you see as you head into 2025 and beyond?
I don't know if there's any major hurdles, but we have to direct the coaches and the parents in the stands and that into a positive frame of mind when they're in youth sports, that no one call or no one decision by the coach to player A instead of player B or anything like that is going to make or break the season for a kid. And if you keep the atmosphere as positive as you can, you have a very good chance of retaining that ultimate goal I talked about earlier of bringing that kid back the following year. If you're out there and trying to blame umpires or coaches for bad decisions or that, you're probably likely to turn the kids off and not have them come back.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of umpires, there's been a few conversations I've heard about how to increase the awareness piece, how to increase the engagement piece, how to increase the retention piece. What do you think needs to happen to get a few more blue out on the field?
We've just adopted a new umpire policy in the province for Little League, and I think it's just fresh because we're talking a couple weeks, not any longer than that it's been in place. So we're going to have to give our umpire leadership team some time to reflect on the policy and to build the building blocks to make it successful. And I truly believe we have some good people in that realm, and they're going to look at the policy and what procedures and what initiatives they can put in place to encourage umpire development, right from the grassroots level right up to sending umpires on to the Little League World Series for Canada.
It's interesting. We had Chris Hartley on after he won the WCBL Umpire of the Year, and he made an interesting point about players and how they usually gravitate towards being coaches after their playing days are done. How do you entice them over to the umpire side? Have you thought that part through yet? Because he seems to think there's something there, especially the catchers who have a pretty familiar sight line from that perspective.
Well, I think I'm going to have a little chat with Chris and see what he's thinking there, because if he's onto something, we want to explore that and try to make that work. And the WCBL umpires definitely are class act in our league, and they have a committee, and I get to sit in some of those meetings, and I call it the synergy that we develop between the WCBL umpires and a Little League umpire. We talked about that a little bit this weekend too, and how we can build on maybe not a huge relationship, but those umpires are looked up to by younger umpires, just like the young ball players are look up to the WCBL players. So there is definitely something there, and some work that we can do together to try to tackle that piece.
Mm-hmm. A couple more for you. The marketing side of things, you had me, of all people, come up in front of a crowd for 45 minutes. I know Mark Stiles was chatting as well. How much of this is about capitalizing on the opportunity that we have in front of us? Baseball's growing in this province. Got to get the word out more. What's your message to those members who are wanting to up their game and get even more people and keep that momentum rolling?
Well, I think that it's a natural partnership to have, the larger, more, fan-based leagues having partnerships with Little League. It happens, the biggest example is obviously Little League and Major League Baseball. We're a little bit less profile than Major League Baseball, but we are the top of the WCBL is top of the food chain in Alberta and Saskatchewan, and if we can create some energy and momentum and eyes on Little League and help grow their game, it's going to grow more fans for the WCBL, and the more kids that get out to WCBL games and get to experience that joy they see when they get to meet one of the WCBL players. And you often see those younger kids, their eyes light up when they get a ball or a shirt signed by a WCBL player at a local game, whether it's in Sylvan Lake or Lethbridge or Okotoks or wherever. And we have a lot of little leaguers in these areas, so they should be aware of it, and the more we can increase the awareness, the more players we're going to get at all the levels.
Mm-hmm. Final one for you. Let's fast forward to a year from now. I'm going to get your crystal ball out. How are you going to define success for 2025?
I think the same way we did as every year. Are we increasing our membership, and are we retaining the players we have in Little League? And that is an annual effort. It doesn't matter if it's 2020 or 2025, or I'm hoping it's the same in 2040. Mm-hmm. And the more happy ball players we can leave with, the better the program is left for the future.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, really appreciate the time. Congratulations on the success with not only the WCBL, but obviously what you've been doing with Little League Alberta. Thanks so much for joining us.
Anytime, Joe. Thanks.
Next up is the special guest of the evening. Katie Reyes was the 14th female to ever participate in the Little League World Series, as she was part of Hastings Community Little League, who represented Canada back in 2009. She's had a fascinating journey in the game, from baseball to softball, back to baseball, and is now in athletic therapy, working with the Vancouver Canadians. We had a great fireside chat in front of the crowd, then sat back down to continue that conversation for this show.
Katie, really appreciate the time. Take me back to 2009. I'm so fascinated by what it's like to be in Williamsport as a 12-year-old, as a 13-year-old. What was it like in the eyes of Katie Reyes?
I think the word would be surreal. I think out of all the things you grow up dreaming about, wanting to do when you're in the Little League and playing, the biggest goal is Little League World Series. You see it on TV now, you hear it on the radio, you see it on social media, and there's so many things right now that people see, that athletes see, that, oh my gosh, this is a Little League World Series. So way back when that wasn't even on TV, making it was a big deal, One camera in your face when you're playing is the coolest thing in the world, Sitting down with the interview reporters and stuff like that, it made you feel special. So being able to grow up in that, being able to make it to the Little League World Series in 2009 was surreal. So yeah.
Talk a little bit about the lead up to that and how little Katie goes from I like baseball to hey, this is something special and something cool. What was that like growing up in Vancouver and grinding through to getting it to that point in Williamsport?
Yeah, so leading up to that was so fun. My brother and I, like I was saying before, we're quite competitive, so we're playing one sport together, and he was a year and a half younger, so our parents tried to keep us together as long as possible, and we would just play off of each other. He was a back catcher, I was first base. Sometimes I'd pitch, that battery right there was really fun. And then making friends, making female relationships, as well as my male counterparts, like everybody there, the coaches, the volunteers, the parents, that community that I had growing up was very supportive and very encouraging of, hey, you're a girl, but you can make this all-star team and you're going to excel, and we can use you to make the Little League World Series. So it was very nice having that backup and support, not only from those coaches, obviously from my family, my parents, but also my brother, my friends there too at the end of the day. So being able to grow in that, have those special relationships just made it even sweeter when I got up to the top.
I've heard stories in the past talking to female athletes who say it wasn't accepting. It was a challenge.
Yeah.
Did you face a lot of that adversity, or did you find that it was fairly easy to go through?
I think I can only speak on my behalf, but my experience listening to others, I've heard that they've been, shied away from not just publicity, but acknowledgement of them being an actual good player. With my background and how I grew up, like I said, I was very supported. My coaches had my backs, but what was even better was my teammates' parents also had my back. So there was times where I'd be the leadoff batter, or I was pitching, and some of the opponents would give a little bit of tooth and nail, those little jabs at you and saying, hey, I can't believe this girl's playing, I can't believe this, we're facing this girl, we can hit a home run off of her, we can steal on her, like all these things. And then all of a sudden I proved them wrong. But it was very nice to see the parents say, hey, don't talk to girls like that, don't talk to females like that. If your sister was to play, how would it feel if somebody was talking to your sister like that? So the parents also started, teaching their kids at a young age, which was really nice on my behalf. So, yeah, I appreciate them so much. I wouldn't have had it any other way growing up in Little League.
You had an interesting transition, too. We talked about it on the stage, too, is you get past that point. That was almost the peak of your baseball career to a certain extent. Because there's that, all of a sudden, the IA of softball, for example. Was that a difficult transition for you to go from, I love overhand and that kind of thing, to, okay, now we're going to do something different?
Yeah. I think everybody who knows me knows this. Like, I'm pretty athletic. I try to pick up a sport really fast. I love competitiveness, and I will always try to win no matter what. And so transitioning into softball, I actually thought the game was a lot easier. It was the social aspect that was different. The players' mentalities were different. My teammates were also different. So the difference was I felt a lot more support with my softball girls. Like, no matter what happened, they were always very positive, very supportive. No matter how bad or good I played, they kind of shook everything off at the end of the day, and we were all close friends, best friends, and wanted the best for each other. I thought the difference between the two, baseball and softball players, was I think the competitiveness at some points. I felt like when I was playing against the guys, they had to prove me wrong or prove themselves right. I need to strike out this girl, or I will be embarrassed. I can't speak on that behalf, but that's what it felt like. Because vice versa, I wanted to beat these guys. I wanted to hit a home run off them, steal bases. And so with the girls, I didn't really have that drive to do that against them. I still wanted to win because I'm competitive at the end of the day, but I think those were the key differences. I thought it was a lot easier, like I said, but once I started to get into the bigger levels, the higher levels, then skill took over, hard work took over, and then, just everything, playing wise.
I know there's a family element to this, but in the old school version of it, it was girls play softball, and boys play baseball. Did you feel any pressure externally, aside from parents wanting the scholarship piece attached to it?
Yeah. I think there was a lot of unknown information back then. So in 2010, 2009, when I was transitioning over from baseball to softball, my parents didn't even know what softball was, but they also didn't know what could happen out of Little League, after Little League. So was my best friend's parents. Like, we just got told you transition into softball, and that was about it. So we had minimal information, and the softball world opened us into the open arms, which was very nice of them. And I have my best friends to this day from them, from softball. But that, I think it was the lack of information, because when I graduated from university as a student athlete playing down in the U.S., one of the baseball female coaches from BC reached out, and I joined Team BC women's baseball team, and I had asked the girls how long have they been playing baseball, and they said they never gave it up. and I didn't know. I was like, what the heck? Why didn't anybody tell me? But, I think, like I said, the lack of awareness or spread information was happening way back when. I think if you knew people, then you knew women's baseball continued or girls' baseball continued. Now I try to advocate as much as I can so that girls can continue baseball if they choose to. If they don't, then no worries. I don't like to push, but as long as there's open opportunities and open doors for them.
How cool is it to see the transition piece? Because now, to your point, whether it's information and the availability of it, or it's just, I'll call it more acceptance on that front, what's it from your perspective to see that shift in mindset?
I think it's cool. I look back at my time of how I did it, and anytime I hear a girl's story saying, hey, I'm transitioning over to softball, or hey, I want to stick it into baseball, but I don't want to just close myself off for softball scholarships or baseball scholarships. I try to help out on those aspects. My parents didn't understand the university scholarship, flow chart. We just got told way back when America signs kids verbally at the age of 14, 15. And my parents are like, she's not even a junior in high school, So they're like, what do you mean you signed this kid early? And what happens if there's injuries? What happens if there's if they decide that they don't want to play the sport? How do you commit so early? But that was just the facts that we were given, and that's how life was back then. Now I find there's a lot more opportunity for the girls and windows to see, do they want to do this? Do they not? And it's okay. Like I said, not the type of person to push, but I want to give them as much information as I can.
What's it mean to you to be able to give back to the game in that way and be sort of that guiding light, in a sense, to show that there is a path in the game?
I think, like I mentioned in the panel, that mentorship is probably the biggest thing that stuck with me. All my mentors, all the staff, the coaches, the volunteers, that's the part I remember growing up. There's so many coaches that have impacted my life, whether it be in my career, but more as a human being. And I think that component of the mentors impacting me make me want to give back. I have a lot of softball friends right now, and they're still helping the high school teams. They're still helping the travel ball teams. And these women have to work the 9-to-5 jobs just to make some money, because when you volunteer, they don't even have kids. They're just wanting to give back to the community. But you don't get paid, right? It's a volunteer opportunity. So seeing all that, helping out as much as I can with Baseball BC, we have a high performance camp that happens every summer. I try to make it. Unfortunately, with my job, there's a lot of hours in baseball being, given to. But the minute I have time off, I like to reach out to some of those athletes. Hey, how are you doing? Do you want me to feed to you in a cage? Do you want me to throw you BP? I love it. It's still a part of my life. I never want to give it up. And, it's something that I think a lot of girls, when they grow up in high school or in college, should be giving back to their community too, because it shaped them at the end of the day.
Absolutely. We kind of talked about it a little bit in terms of a pro league coming to fruition, and that idea now of, if you can see it, you can be it. I'm a big believer in it. Whether it's the national team or whether it's the provincial team or dreaming of pros, what's it mean to some of these young athletes who now can look a little bit further and see a future that's a lot brighter than maybe it was even when you were a kid?
Yeah, I think you said it completely how I would. It's so exciting to see an organization like this, teams coming together, playing against one another, having it on stage, be a thing. But I think it's more for the younger girls and the younger generation to be impacted. Hey, I could see these girls, now I could see it, I could be it. That's probably the biggest line that I'd always say. Growing up, we didn't have a lot of people or a lot of females, idols, all-stars, Olympians that we looked at a pedestal or saw growing up. So I think having all of these, it could be not even a starting 9 a bench player, but you can see through the TV how much they impact the team just by being loud, just by cheering and being positive. That right there on a TV, I think, is going to impact so many of the young girls, just seeing it. And so when these people, these athletes, these female athletes start playing and, being more common, it makes it so much easier for the younger generation to say, I want to do this. This is what I'm going to do. And now there's actually windows as opposed to, trying to break all the glass ceilings. We don't want to break everything. We want to be able to play too, but it makes it so much easier to say, hey, this is now a thing. We can do it all together.
And it's not just playing either, and you're a shining example of that, is getting the opportunity to be part of the coaching staff with Vancouver Canadians. You kind of alluded to it on the stage. I want you to reiterate it for those who weren't here, but the acceptance level and being able to have conversations with players and they take you seriously. It's not like the token hire, quote unquote, right? Talk about your experiences with Vancouver Canadians.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, I'm one of the athletic therapists with the supporting staff for the Vancouver Canadians, the minor league team for the Toronto Blue Jays. And when I first got into this, I shied away a little bit with the conversations with some of the male athletes, thinking that I wasn't geared enough for them, that I wasn't, to their pedestal, a professional athletic therapist that they've had. But these athletes understand that the Jays have hired us for a reason. Even though we're a female in a workplace, they give us credit of trying our best, working hard, and trying to help them develop. I think they realize when you try and help them out at the end of the day, that's all they can ask for, and we can give them. They can obviously, they're smart. Yeah, they're smart athletes, give or take, but they can really read intent and integrity. And if you're lying to them or if you're trying to shy away from them, they can read that body language. They're smart in that sense of, hey, why are you lying? So I think it's easier said than done, but just letting them know, hey, I'm vulnerable. I don't know the answer to this. I'm going to find it out for you. And showing them that side of being in my professional career, I think speaks wonders to them, and that's how they trust you at the end of the day. That's how you build rapport. And so even though I'm female, they don't shy away that I am. They will take all my advice that's given. And so as the coach, Ashley Stevenson, we both thought this when we were going into our career, that some of these boys wouldn't listen, but man, they want all the information. They want to make it to the next level, and by helping them out as much as we can, that's all they can ask for.
Very cool. A couple more for you before we let you go.
Yeah.
For those young girls who might be listening, and they're looking at whether it's a playing career or a career off the field, what's your number one piece of advice or those words of wisdom you'd like to impart upon them?
I think keep trying. Try your best, obviously, but there's some doors that you try to knock down, and sometimes the answer is no immediately. Sometimes the answer is no the second, third, fourth time. But I think if you keep trying and trying your best and your hardest, opportunities will knock. I'm the type of person to sometimes throw all my eggs in one basket, and my family's not that type of person, but I try to strive for the moon. Shoot for the moon, as people say, and you'll land amongst the stars. But I solely believe if you are shooting for that moon, you'll hit something right there. And so an example was me just chancing it and moving across the country for another bachelor's. So I've already had one 4 years down my playing career as a student athlete, and I decided to have another one out in Toronto, and it was because of that Toronto Blue Jays scholarship. I said, let me chance this. My family was like, you might want to try something else if it doesn't go your way. And I said, I will. I'm going to try my best no matter what, but I think I'm gunning for this. And if it happens, then this is it. This is something I want to give baseball every ounce of opportunity I can. It's given me so much as an athlete, but as a support staff, as a coach, as a teammate. I've been playing since I was 5, 6 years old. I want to give as much as I can back to baseball. So that's why I think trying my best at the end of the day is going to work wonders.
Sure did. Final question. It's one we ask everybody on the show.
Okay.
What's the game of baseball mean to you?
Ooh, that's a good one. Game of baseball. I think life. I think, and I don't want to call it my identity because there's so many things that I also do outside of baseball, but I think if you can pinpoint every friend, every family member, every person I've met along the way, it's been through baseball or softball. The networking, the teammates, the coaching, the opportunities like this. I get to come to Little League Alberta and speak on my behalf. I think there's so much life in baseball that it's given me. It just, I couldn't see my life any other way. So yeah, I think that would be it.
I could go on for days with you, but I also know that, you have some socializing and other things to do. Katie, really, really appreciate the time. Congrats on all the successes over the course of your career. Continued success next year and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks again to Kevin Kvame and Katie Reyes for joining us this week, and thanks to Little League Alberta for having me as their guest speaker and MC Saturday night. And again, congratulations to all of the award winners, and thank you to everyone in the organization who's doing what they can to grow the game in this province. As mentioned, we are working on a second episode to bring you later this week, focusing on the Baseball Alberta Awards, so stay tuned for that. And we're working on written stories for both as well, so our website will be busy in the days ahead. As always, a tip of the cap to our platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dogs, WCBL, and Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment, for all they do for us and for baseball in Alberta. Their contributions help us cover costs like web hosting fees and online newspaper subscriptions. If you'd like to join our roster of sponsors, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.